driver's car door, but it was locked. Oh, Margaret, you'll be missed by so many. Margaret traced her roots back to the Mayflower, and her family was one of the first families to settle in Massachusetts. She was the president of the Ellington Historical Society and had a large extended family in the area. I studied the interior of the car, something I knew police officers did when they pulled someone over. I'd picked up a fair bit of police know-how from my ex-husband, CJ, first while he served for over 20 years in the Air Force Security Forces, and now as the chief of police of Ellington, the small town we lived in. A traffic stop could easily change to something more if drugs, money, or weapons were in sight, and that happened far more frequently than most people realized. But Margaret's car was neat as a pin. A black pocketbook sat on the front passenger seat. Pocketbook. Good grief. I was starting to use the native lingo. Nothing else seemed out of place. It didn't look like she'd been robbed, given the rings on her fingers and her purse sitting next to her. My phone chimed again. I pulled it out and glanced down. I'd received a photo through Poppit, a popular picture-sharing app that lots of teens and 20-somethings used. I was far older than this app's typical user, but Lindsay, a former teenage neighbor from nearby Fitch Air Force Base, had gotten me hooked. I'd been using it to post items I wanted to sell on my virtual garage sale site, as well as to direct business to the site. It was also a fun way to stay in touch, and Lindsay always sent funny photos. Right now, I could use a smile. I pressed the button to view the picture. I could barely take in what I saw before the screen went blank. The photo was a shot of me, standing by Margaret's car, looking in the window. Someone else was here. Chapter 2. I whipped around, dropping my phone in the snow. I scanned the heavily wooded area across the broad lawn. Nothing moved, but there was a thick stand of trees and evergreens to hide behind. Now I realized how quiet it was up here, how alone I was. Why didn't I hear any sirens yet? Ellington wasn't that big. I strained, listening for any noise that might indicate someone's presence. Branches creaked as they rubbed together in the early morning wind. The silence, the isolation, pressed in on me. Not wanting to turn my back or glance away from the woods for too long, I squatted and felt around in the snow until I found my phone. I scooped it up, wondering if I should call 911 again. Sirens began wailing in the distance. I hoped coming here to help me. I flinched as a hawk burst from the woods. Its wings flapped loudly as it took off, while snow showered down from the vibrating branch it had just left. Was it the sirens that had startled him, or the person who lurked out there, snapping photos of me? Was he or she watching now, enjoying my fear? I shook myself. I glanced at Margaret's house. Maybe the photographer was in there, or by now he or she could have circled around back to sneak up on me. I looked back and forth between the house and the woods. I even managed a quick glance behind me. Come on, cops, drive faster. A few agonizing minutes later, an ambulance roared up the driveway. Even though I told the dispatcher Margaret was definitely dead, I was grateful the EMTs had arrived. Grateful and safe. Next, a couple of squad cars showed up. Scott Pellner climbed out of the first one. He rubbed his hands and blew on them as he walked toward me. Until that moment, I hadn't even noticed the cold. A terrible cold, like an ice storm, raged inside me. I hurried toward him, past my car and the ambulance. I slid again on the ice. He grabbed my arms to keep me upright. Is it really Margaret? Pellner asked. He released me once I was steady. Yes, I pointed to the woods. Someone's out there. Pellner put a hand on his gun as he scanned the area I pointed to. How do you know? Have you heard of Poppit? I asked him. The way this particular app worked, the picture had to be sent right when it was taken.